Yeah, hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Bitcoin has yesterday rallied into the communicated resistance zone after we could count a potential 5-wave move to the downside from the Monday high. So we're going to take a look at that in a minute on the 30-minute chart. And then we are going to identify the parameters for today that we need to be watching. And so far, the chart is still in a corrective structure, hasn't clearly bottomed yet in this wave 4, even though it's of course a possibility. And we are trying to identify at the moment if we are in the white count, which would send the price most likely into this region between 60,140 down to possibly, I would say 55.4K, which is the 38.2 retracement, maybe not even down that much. But 60,140 would be in the white count the, let's say the first ideal target. We would then go slightly below the 10th, not the 20th of March low, and could complete this corrective structure nicely in an A, B, C structure. So this count has become more likely yesterday with the micro 5-wave move down that we witnessed as the price dropped into yesterday's low. And then I gave you a resistance area that I'm going to show you in a minute. The price rallied into it, and this is now the next pivot. So we can identify 5 waves down. That means the next rally should take us into a certain resistance area. That exactly happened. And now this is the next pivot. I also can't tell you if that resistance will break or not, but we can look at the structure and now come up with the next parameters to watch. Okay. Now this is very much micro analysis, requires a lot of precision, but we are dealing with a correction still. So we don't have any impulsive price action really. So we need to be very much aware that things can easily change. That's the nature of these corrections. Don't try to trade every single wave in this correction, please. It's just not the way to do it. We do this for educational purposes. Best approach, I shared that with you in my opinion. Best approach for most people is just to cut the range in half and then just accumulate below and take some gradual profits above. It's the best way to do it. Not saying, okay, we're here now, let's short down in the C wave. You can do that. I mean, it's up to you. Then you need to set the stop above the Monday high to protect yourselves. But there are hundreds of strategies, right? I give you all the invalidation points that you need always. So you can, as long as you are setting a stop beyond the invalidation point, because that invalidates the structure, clearly, then you can, of course, trade according to reward and risk. But a short trade, for example, within a bull market, in my opinion, always less productive, because the market can always rather surprise to the upside. Now, we should never be surprised, because in corrections, literally, you can get these fluctuations. But yeah, I mean, the white count should be clear. So we had this A wave down, a B wave rally, and we're now in the C wave down. That, however, requires the chart to turn down from the resistance area, and resistance is at 71,620. Or if the yellow wave count is unfolding, which could still happen, because there's still a lot of upside pressure, then it's not a reliable scenario though. Well, then we would need to hold a certain support level now. We had a 1-2 set up to the upside, wave 4 already bottomed on the 20th of March, and we're now in a third wave that should take us to 81.2K. And this is the AB of the third wave, and we might have started the C wave. And that's what we're observing today. And then we should get a 4 or 5, and it could take us into the 90K region. So we are still in a bullish market. And I can only say that, once again, very clearly, the market is expected to go up either from here or from down here. What does it mean from a tactical point of view? It's very simple. The question is not so much, does the market go up or down? The question is, do you know what you want to do if the market goes up or down? And I think the analysis gives you very, very clear actionable recommendations. One would be that it might be reasonable to accumulate in this area if the price dips into it again, because from here a reaction to the upside would be expected. If we go up straight away, it is likely this diagonal pattern, and the price could get to 81.2K next. Now, if anybody entered in one of the recent support zones, possibly, I mean, I don't know where you entered, what you did, or you have your core portfolio, I mean, I can always give you the pivots, the next upside targets here, 81K. Maybe some people want to take some profits there. But if we get there, it's very likely we also do a 4-5, get to 90K. It's very simple. In a bull market, dips are opportunities. So let's take that out again. And yeah, and ideally, if prices go up further, people have their core positions. Well, if not, then maybe you want to get one. That's of course up to you. But in my opinion, it's best for everybody to have a core position, because we're in a bullish market. The key is to try to hold that core position as long as possible, as long as we're in a bullish market. Now that we've understood what's the bullish count, what's the short-term bearish count, still bullish though, but it's quite easy to be on the right side of the trend here, because in both counts, we would expect the market to go up further, as long as the orange support region is holding. Now, I would have to change my view and say, okay, my analysis did not work out if we break below 50.7K, but even for that, we have an alternative count. You know, the market always tells us when we have to change opinion. At the moment, we're simply tracking the waves to understand what needs to be fulfilled in terms of requirements to communicate that the correction actually indeed ended on the 20th of March, or is it still unfolding? If it's unfolding, I want to see the market if it's still unfolding, the correction, I want to see the market do one thing, and we're going to take a look at that on the let's go to the 15-minute chart. Here you can see in more detail the two wave counts. So I shared with you yesterday that we had a 5-wave move down. It looks at least more like a 5-wave move down. Then I gave you a resistance area that we wanted the price to test. The price did rally into this resistance area, however, not in a clearly defined 3-wave structure. It would have been nice to see a weak A, B, C structure, and then I would have some confidence to say, okay, this was the wave 2 in white, off wave C, prepare for the 3rd wave down, which would be confirmed with a break below that low from yesterday. That's anyway the level. If we break that low, then we have a confirmed 3rd wave down, and that should send us closer to the lower orange support region. But as you can see, the rally looks actually a little bit impulsive. It's too small to be reliable anyway. So I have introduced a micro count for the yellow scenario so that we can watch some support levels. But we are now in resistance, and in the white count, we shouldn't really break resistance. But we haven't broken resistance, even though the structure looks a bit impulsive, because we haven't broken resistance, and because the structure is so small, I can't really rely on it and say it's bullish short term. I would still keep the door open for lower in the white count, but 71,620 is a very clear level that we can observe to the upside. As long as the price stays below that, I think the white count still could be in control. But I mentioned to you already yesterday that I would be impressed or actually surprised if Bitcoin really follows through with this C wave to the downside in a perfect manner. Bitcoin often likes to change structures in a correction. So yeah, it might be that we find support here then, because in the white count we shouldn't. In the white count we should break through, break below yesterday's low, and yeah, follow through with the 3rd wave to the downside. But because we haven't broken above resistance, yeah, I mean, the white count is still obviously reasonable. It's just that yellow has increased, you could say in probability maybe a little bit, just because of the microstructure, which isn't clearly corrective. But for now, the white count remains to lead, remains the leading scenario until we see the nature of the pullback now. Why is that so important? So if there is a pullback, I mean, it looks it might have started, but if there is a pullback from here and it's corrective, then we could argue, okay, maybe it's wave 1 to the upside in the yellow count. This is now a wave 2 pullback, and then we can get a third of a third wave. And if we break above resistance then, plus break above Monday's high, which is at 72,750, then it would tell us probably we have to follow yellow, the yellow count. The support area, micro support, is 68,260 to 69,800. And especially as long as we're holding 68,260, the focus could be on higher for anybody who wants to entertain the idea of the yellow count. It's very clear. I mean, it depends on how you want to play this. I'm not telling you how to trade this. If you trade this at all, we're in a correction, so it's choppy. So be aware that things can change quickly. But the yellow count, I mean, the stop can be set below yesterday's low. For the white count, if you short down, which I don't think is a great idea, but the short trade setup, which it is one, would need a stop above the Monday high. to keep the setups valid technically. Okay, not financial advice. It depends on how you want to play this. If or for most people, I think it's not a good idea to trade within a correction at all, and rather look at the larger time frame. As I showed you, scale in below the line, or you can casually draw that line and make it a very relaxed experience to trade in a correction, instead of being shaken by the constant adjustments that are needed within a correction, because the market hasn't fully made up its mind yet. But I think we have very, very clear parameters to watch for today, and that should tell us, so the next pullback should tell us more, or if we break above resistance, it would also shift probabilities towards the yellow count. That's my update about Bitcoin. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, and please check out the channel membership. Also, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.